VeeFam, what's up? I am back with another episode of the VeeFam Sessions. My name is Mr. Messer, but you can call me Rob, and I am over the moon to be here with both Ron and Alissa Jordan, reigning VeeFriends Couple of the Year for the last 3 years. Man, I don't even know how to introduce you guys. Podcast hosts, speakers, lawyers, jujitsu, everything under the sun, vendors. Guys, thanks so much for being here together. You guys are such a power couple. How are you?
Great.
Yeah, I'm great as well. I'm excited to be here. It's my first time. It's your second time. You're coming back to the show.
This is technically the first time the world will hear me because my first session didn't work out. The audio got jacked up.
Did you know that he's the unofficial? Rob is the unofficial. I've dubbed him the unofficial VeeFriends historian. We're on with a historian today too.
Oh, that's great.
I
love
appreciate that.
It's International Women's Day, so let's do it.
That's true, and we are also recording on the 2-year anniversary of the release of the Zero Cool Series 1.
Yeah.
So this is a big day, March 8th, 2024. But more historically, I think it'll go down, and people will remember it being the time that they heard the story of Ron and Alissa Jordan, Schmooper Girl, and the Stars podcast. So, I mean, I could do 2 hours, 3 hours with each of you individually. So this is not only fun, but it's also going to be super challenging for me. But let's take it all the way back. If you guys don't mind just doing maybe an individual, because both of you are so decorated individually. If you don't mind just doing a quick 55-second intro, as Gary would say, comic book one of yourselves, personally and professionally. Let's ladies first.
Yeah, so Alissa Jordan, aka Schmooper Girl. I'm a lawyer, but I'm not yours. Oh God. So personally, I'm married to this fine man right here. We've been married for 11 years. Right? Yeah, I think time flies. We've been together for a long time. We have a blended family. A blended family I'm really proud of. I'm a mom, so I have a son. He's going to be 24 this year, and we have Brielle, my bonus daughter, who's 15, and she is, I don't know, I actually had a text message today where someone said to me, like, I can't wait to see her do this. And I was like, she's so great. And I was like, if I never accomplish a single other thing for the rest of my life and I still get to be a part of this kid's journey, it will be enough. So super proud of her. So we are all about our family, but, professionally, again, I'm a lawyer. I am the chief compliance officer and general counsel for a women-founded and led technology company based out of Pennsylvania, and we are literally changing the world. I mean that. That's not something we just say for shits and giggles. We're literally changing the world. Our technology platform is connecting domestic violence agencies with victims and survivors of domestic violence safely, securely, and discreetly. It's new. No one's ever done it before, and we figured it out, and we're rolling it out across the country and hopefully internationally really soon. So that's what I do for a day job. That's kind of the brass tacks of who I am on the daily.
I love that. It's fascinating. It's such important work.
She's so professional compared to me. I just have fun all day long.
You really do.
I just do whatever I want all day long. No. During the day, I'm a high voltage electrical sales guy. I also do podcasts. I am a VeeFriends vendor. We have been in Web3 since 21, and started. That was our first mint. Was VeeFriends. Started a Web3 company during that time where we would help community members launch projects. Which one? What's the one with Doreen? A Bug Travels Far. I know Bug. I just couldn't remember A Bug Travels Far. So Bug Travels Far, we launched that one. J-Tunes we launched. Geez, oh man, it's all escaping me. But we just a lot of fun with the guys over at NF Daddies. So that was like my foray into Web3. Dove completely in, assembled a team, and started executing on shit. So that was a wild journey, and then got picked up with Rug Radio and became a creator with Rug Radio along with Alissa for our growth mindset moment. We have been speakers at NFT NYC, NFT Week Miami. Shout out to Julie for always putting us on.
VeeCon.
And then she was speaker at VeeCon Community Stage. I mean, like I said, she's the rock star, dude, and she's going to NFT NYC again this year. But yeah, and then in the past times, I'm an ultra marathon runner. I do jujitsu, and
Do any of that.
yeah, and then I'm a family guy at heart all the time. Like I'll give up anything just to hang out with these fools. So
amazing. So much happening in such a short time. You know, we forget how few months have gone by when it feels like years and years when we're talking about some of these things. But let's go back. I remember Alissa, and again, thank you. And it was crushing to have to come to the realization that we weren't getting that conversation back, because it was so great. And I appreciate your time so much, but I really do appreciate you coming back. But I do remember that there was a great origin story in the Jordan house for coming into VeeFriends, what you're minting. So let's take it back to there. When was the first time who was the one that brought Gary Vee into the household? And let's transition right into that May 2021 day.
that would have been me that brought Gary into the house for sure. And then we went back and forth so many different times about whether or not we were gonna get in to VeeFriends. And I finally said to her, I was in the middle of a run.
Whoa.
No, I want to go. I want to talk about that piece of it though, because we like kept going back and forth about it. But go ahead, say what you.
No, it wasn't that. He was trying to convince me that it wasn't insane. That's what the back and forth was really like. No, you have to understand, like, and at that point, like, our exposure to crypto in general was almost nothing. Okay. So like, he's not only telling me that he's going to buy crypto, he's also saying, like, I'm going to go buy Gary Vee, who I at least knew who he was. I was familiar with his content, but I was like, I didn't know we were buying shit from this guy. I thought he was just an inspo guy on Instagram. Like, what are you talking about? So now we're going from like listening to some videos on Instagram and like saying, yeah, I agree with that, to like, I'm buying this wild amount of crypto, wild for where we were at in our lives at that time, wild amount of crypto to go buy this guy's poorly drawn cartoon characters. I was so confused. So that was the back and forth, as I was like, this sounds absolutely ridiculous. What are you talking about?
So what do? Sick the Clubhouse on her.
Okay.
Discord, Clubhouse, bring her into the community, let her experience it for herself and make her own decision. So brought her into Discord, brought her into Clubhouse, and obviously we're still here. So it worked. That piece worked.
Where were you, Ron, on your Gary Vee journey? Because obviously there's different levels to being, you know, a Gary.
I got back into Gary Vee
follower
because he was talking about crypto, not because he was Gary Vee. Like I'm like inspoed out. I'm like I'm deep into the Goggins world. I'm deep into the Cam Hanes world. Courtney Dowalter, you name it. Name the influencer. Like I probably listened to their podcast, read their book, listened to it on Audible. Like I was inspoed out. I needed something different. I wanted something to do, especially during that COVID time where it was like I was struggling with things to do. And it was a unique opportunity to jump in because we had some liquidity, not much, enough to jump into it. And I really believed after I heard him talk about the access piece. I've always been more of a firm believer in the NFT as an access token to a website, to a person, to an anything, more so than I have been in coins where talking about market caps. I
Yeah.
like the idea of an NFT. I like the ability to own your stuff, instant liquidity, all of those things. Like those are the things that he was talking about during that early stages. And I was like, I kind of get that. I want to get exposed to crypto anyhow. So let's just dive in. Let's figure this out together. Let's learn together. And I spent a lot of time researching and just listening to a lot of content about, and not even from Gary. It was actually nothing from Gary after that. It was a lot more about people that were already in the ecosystem, like Crazy Crypto Carl and other influencers that were out there having spaces and teaching us about NFTs, crypto, blockchain. And that's what really got me going and solidified my decision. I was like, you know what? F it. I have to get into this thing.
Mm. And just to set the scene, because there's a lot, Ron, especially, there's so many new people coming in via cards and collectibles that weren't around during this era. A lot of people, I mean, you and I weren't alone. We were learning about crypto and VeeFriends, what it was, kind of hand in hand. And VeeFriends put out they deployed a lot of resources to educating people how to get a MetaMask. Videos, tutorials, blog posts on like step by step how to do it. It's become much easier since, but a lot of people were learning. Twitter Spaces was not a thing, so a lot of people went to this new wish, I don't know the exact timeline, app called Clubhouse where people would congregate, and all it was a Twitter space essentially,
Yeah,
where
Twitter
people could
Spaces didn't
congregate in a
have that.
room and talk and learn. So that's where the energy was formed within the Jordan household.
Well, not only that, I'm going to pile on just a bit. Not only that, but that is where really a lot of the thing that drew me in initially, because all of the rest of that sounded absolutely insane to me, right? Like all of that, but I'm very logical. I'm very practical. He's the entrepreneur. I'm the one that's like, okay, calm down a little bit. Let's accomplish this, but let's put it into bite-sized pieces. That's how I function in life for everybody. Honestly, like I love entrepreneurial spirits. They just need me to sit beside them to teach
She's
them.
the best friend for an entrepreneur. She
Yeah,
really is. You don't want her. You don't want her there, but she's your best friend.
but you need her.
Anyway, the part that drew me in was, and I'll give Gary so much credit for this. The folks that follow Gary, there's so many that have similar point of views and perspectives, right? If you hear him say it all the time, and it's just a fact. You are what you eat, right? So it's the same thing. Like your mentality is who you listen to and what you eat. And so there were so many of us out here in the world that resonated with the type of message that Gary and many like him in that universe really identify with. So when you bring a group of people around that are consuming the same type of content on the regular basis, inspo, whatever, you tend to, when you get them together, some magic really happens. And the crypto community and NFT community early on kind of shit on Gary for, bringing his people into this space. But I'm going to tell you what, it was one of the finest examples of how to build a community on top of this whole crypto NFT dynamic and foundation that folks were really trying to do. And really, in terms of community, there's not a lot of projects left this many years later that still have that fundamental community. I will tell you this: almost 3 years ago, there are people I met in Clubhouse that are I am closer friends with today. I talk to at least every day, if not every other day. I still go in that Clubhouse. I'm going to tell you that there's still a group of us that still go in that same Insiders Clubhouse and talk every day, if frequently. But I'll tell you, I'm closer to some of these people than I am with people that I've known for 20 years. So that is one thing VeeFriends had that I think that stood the test of time and continues to. It's different now. It's very different now. I will tell you that. The community that was there 3 years ago, there's some stuff that's similar. There's some stuff that's the foundation was built then. So folks that are coming into community now and being brought in with collectibles, the foundation for that piece of community was really built during that time when the project was first minting and launching, and we were all getting together and learning together, making mistakes together, you know, minting super yetis. I'm sorry guys, but we minted super yetis. We were like, oh, to the moon with super yetis, whatever. But it was then, and so learning with people in community is actually how I got my VeeFriend. So Ron bought his turn tick, and it was once he pulled the trigger and bought it that I was like, what? And that I was like, you what? And the quote in the house, and I don't know if this is PG or what, but like I said, you bought a fucking bug? Like what?
That's amazing.
And that's where it started.
But wait, me, I'm so happy. I'm in tears.
Yes, he was crying.
I was like, I can't believe I just did it, because I got burned the day before because I lost gas. I lost on a gas war. So I lost my gas money, had to put more money in. It was a whole thing. But like, I'm in tears. I executed. I got it. I did the crypto. I bought the thing.
Yeah, and I'm at work.
And then she's like, you bought what?
I'm at work and I'm like, he's in tears and I'm like, oh, show me. Like, he's so excited. And he's like, I was like, you bought a fucking bug? What did we do with that? Like, so that's really, really propelled me in. But then, so, you know, hard into the mint, we're like waiting for like, you know, the auction style that it went, you know, the price went down, and
Dutch auction.
It was that Dutch auction. I'm in. We're all in community together, going into Clubhouse. We're in Discord. We're like, all of us are just so close and talking. And it was, you know, we had the funds at that time for him to get his. That was it. Like that was our market cap. For VeeFriends. So we were in there, and like I was just loving meeting these people and talking to people and learning together and laughing together, and we just had so much fun. Like so much fun. And I woke up it was so funny, like, you know, Gary at that time was doing the Go giveaways. Go. It's Go.
Mm-hmm.
But by the way,
Always Go.
It's a Go giveaway. But he was doing the Go's, so like I knew that he did that sometimes. So I was always like, every day I'd get up and I'd check my MetaMask to see if like Gary was like, Schmooper girl, here's your VeeFriend. Never happened. But I did I went to bed one night, and in the morning I wake up and like I had to get up really early for work in the morning. I worked at a hospital, and again, this is pandemic time, right? I was a compliance officer at a health system. So I got up in the morning, I'm getting ready for work. It's like 5:00 in the morning. I'm getting ready, and like as I go in the bathroom, and then like Ron turns his lamp on, and I'm like, why are you up? Like he was never up, and he was just like, no reason. Okay. So I'm
typical husband, yeah.
Yeah, he's so subtle. So I'm getting ready for work, and I'm standing there, and he goes, you should check your wallet. And I was like, I do that when I get to work. Like, but then I was like, you should really check your wallet. You know, so at that point I was like, okay. So I look, and like, I was astonished that two members of the community was like, because you got to remember, back then we really believed that the only way you were going to VeeCon is if you had a VeeFriend Series 1 in the wallet. We believed that. Like,
he told us that his own mom wasn't getting it.
He said my mom is not getting to VeeCon without a VeeFriend. So we all believed that if we were ever going to get to meet and hang out at VeeCon, that we had to have a VeeFriend. And so I by the way, I hope they don't regret giving it to me, because I still kept it. It's in a ledger. But that day, I was gifted a methodical mammoth from two members of the community who didn't want to not have me at VeeCon. So that was probably one of the most influential action of community in action that I got to be really blessed by during that time. So that really solidified for me. Like, listen, people, you don't have to give people NFTs to be a part of a community. You don't. But it was a testament to what we were all building together at that time as a community, that we all looked out for each other. We raised money. We would take ETH dust that any of us had in our wallets and send it to a person to coordinate to get a VeeFriend for a member of the community, because we believed we weren't going to get to meet these people if they didn't have this VeeFriend. I know at least
2 dozen times.
At least 2 dozen times people threw ETH dust together to make sure someone had a half an ETH, 0.6, 0.7 to get. Many times that happened. Or just we would get together in Clubhouse and like have giveaway nights and like Corso and Post Verone, and we called it family reunion. Every Thursday night we get together and we would all decide what we were all giving away. We gave away, oh my God,
we gave away Bored Apes in there.
Someone gave away an ape back then. It was so crazy. But that's what drew me in. And then what kept me over time was this overwhelming sense of loyalty to what it meant to build community, not just as a commodity within a space to make money, but really build it as the foundation for what Web3 was going to look like going forward, and doing so ethically and with principles at the forefront of that. So that's what kept me in the space, and also ended up giving me a platform for why I go and speak at these national conferences now.
Absolutely. And, just anyone that has an eye on you or follows you knows that you haven't strayed from that. I have this tweet that I pulled from July 19th, 2022, where you said, GM, we can't keep using the word community in Web3 if we aren't committed to functioning like one. Look out for one another and let's stay safe together. And that's kind of just been your MO the whole time. And you don't, there's many instances where, where you've gone just head to head with Gary on the Twitter feed. And you just don't, no matter who it is, like you're not going to, like, you're going to stand for what you believe in or think is right. And that's very admirable.
Well, I'll tell you this. I'll give you a little piece of information that like I've never shared in this type of context before.
Let's go.
I have gone head to head with Gary. I have never masked who I am, my tone, my personality, and what I stand for anybody, including Gary. I don't, that's not who I am. Principles first. And I've and his team knows it. Like, if you want the honest truth, you want honesty, transparency, but like, I do it from a place of kindness. I do it from a place of, because I give a shit, because this stuff matters to me, and doing the right thing is a priority. Sometimes my tone is abrupt, but also it's fact-based. Like, sometimes the truth sucks to hear, and it's hard to hear. Especially when you're not like making it sound cute in the process. That's just not my style. Never has been, never will be. But that didn't make Gary decide that I wasn't a person that he could talk to. And I had an opportunity. I ran into him. It was so bizarre. Not this past year at Art Basel, but the year before that at Art Basel, I ran into Gary no less than probably 6 times in one day. Like, it got to the point I was like, are you following me? It's getting weird. And we just laughed about it, whatever. But I ended up getting to talk to him at an event, and he's like, hey, what are you working on? So I told him what I was working on. And he says, get in touch with me. I want to hear more. So I said, okay. And listen, so many people meet Gary, and he says, hey, email me here. And then you see them on Twitter, like, Gary, I emailed you 3 months ago. Are you ever going to get back to me? It's like a whole thing, right? So like, did I like throw a party at that point? No. But again, that's how I'm a busy business. I'm a busy professional, good at my job, just like he is. Like, we're the same. We just do different shit. Like, that's it. So I got in touch with him. He followed through. We had a meeting, and within a few months of that, Gary put his money where his mouth is, and he's invested in our company. So,
wow. Great.
he believes in what we're doing, and for that, like, I'm incredibly grateful. But it's not to brag about that, because we have a lot of amazing investors at my company that are helping us change the world, and we're changing the world. And like, And, you know, I think it's smart. I think it's a great decision. It's an incredible decision. We're going to do awesome things and, you know, be profitable and also change the world. But more as the message with that say is like, just be authentic, be who you are, show up as who you are. Don't worry about pissing people off. Like, obviously don't be an asshole. Like, I've never been like a person who just walks in being an asshole, but like I stayed true to who I am. I've stayed true to my principles. I've stayed true to me 100% of the time. And I didn't care if it was off-putting. I didn't care if it turned people off. I'm either for you or I'm not. But being authentic to that, I believe that I gained enough of his respect in the process for him to give a shit about what I was working on, off to even ask. So hats off to Gary for that. I appreciate it.
And, you know, for just to paint more of a contextual picture, VeeFriends, I pulled that from VeeFriends they put out these vignettes, early days of VeeFriends when they first started putting out content. If you were around, you remember the aspiring alpaca. It rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. You know, obviously everyone flocks to spaces, and yeah, you spoke into the microphone the loudest, and you didn't fall back. So not to belabor on that point, but you know, there was a lot of learning.
They did the right thing.
Yeah.
They did the right thing. And like, listen, I know that wasn't an easy decision to make because they believed wholeheartedly that it came from the right place. And so much of the message in VeeFriends has always been like, have good intentions and that's all that matters. But that's not all that matters. You have to have really good intentions and you have to have execution that matches. Otherwise, your good intentions are just like well wishes, you know? So when we're talking about having good intentions, you back it up with like execution that matches, and then you have a beautiful thing. And so no one was ill-intended in what was put out, but the execution fell short, in my opinion, in the opinion of many of the women in the space, and even men in the space that were kind of like, oh, guys. So it all worked out, and they gained my respect more because they addressed it.
Amazing. I wanna ask you one thing before we kind of move on in the timeline here. You mentioned how the community was different, and we always have those, like, you know, the glory days kind of feel, like, you know, back in my day kind of thing. But, you know, trying to be like, I guess, take an objective lens, and I know a lot of people from that era have moved on to different things, out of crypto. A lot are still around. A lot are still around, but very quiet in the back seat and not you know, into the collectibles and on the timeline. And a lot of people have moved on and are very vocal about it, as we've seen in certain situations. So I'm just curious, from your perspective, either of you, like, how is the community different now?
So, I mean, listen, there's only so much of your life you can give up hanging out in a Discord and promoting the business of someone else, right? And this is also a controversial situation that occurred, so I'll bring it back up. It's fine. I actually ran into a member. I'm not going to even get into details because I don't ever want to go reprocess. Everyone can put it together who the hell I'm talking about. But I ran into a high-ranking member of the VeeFriends team back at VeeCon 1. And the comment was made about the OGs not being welcoming to new people and not having an appreciation for the OGs because of this perception that there was that we weren't welcoming other people in and things like that, and that we weren't present in the Discord as much anymore. My response was, why would you want us to have, like, we're all out here building shit. We're out here networking with one another and creating relationships and doing our own thing. Like, my God, NF Daddy started because of that community and went and built their business. You know, other development teams came off of that business. Other people were out building nonprofits and doing all that stuff. Like, everybody's busy. The whole core group, like 1,000 of us don't have time to sit in your Discord and cultivate community in your Discord. That's literally your job, buddy. Our job is to go take this stuff and spread it and make it grow. And that's what we're doing. So it was a bit of a pushback. And I thought it was a strange thing to say, specifically to somebody who was considered like an OG, whatever that means. But at the end of the day, I think the community has evolved. I think it's changed. I think you have a lot of new people that came in with VeeFriends Series 2. You have the folks that came with book games, and now you have people coming in because of collectibles. But I think that's the evolution. And I think that the community is all one VeeFriends community, but everybody kind of has their interest of what they're passionate about. Me, I'm still passionate about community, and I'm still in community with so many of those folks. I can't tell you how many people I talk to on a weekly basis that's from those days and even after. So I think that the change really has been an evolution. It's less about hanging out in Discord for hours at a time and just chatting and talking like about the same stuff. I think it's more about the next stage of going out and building podcasts and building media companies and building consulting firms and building tech stacks and building all these things. We're all out here just like building stuff and leveraging community in a way that's not just for self gain, but really that's what communities do, is they lift each other up and hold each other up and push each other forward. And I think that's where the evolution has happened. I can't tell you the last time I was in VeeFriends Discord. Okay. I don't know. I don't know what happens in there.
I think that the underlying VeeFriend pillars are within sort of all of these communities that are coming in. And that's what I've sort of come to realize is the faces are different, but the mindset is very similar. No matter if it's cards, if it's book games, if it's collectibles, if it's NFTs, like everybody that comes in sort of has this very entrepreneurial, very inspirational type of mindset. And I think that that's what each one of those pillars ends up coming in, and it supports itself. And that all is the community. Like I think about a high school or a college, for example. Like there's a ton of different clubs inside of the main college. So I think that that's sort of what we have. And yes, it does get cliquey, but at the same time, I feel like that's okay to have your groups that you predominantly hang out with. And then the big graduation, the big one-time event is that VeeCon, where everybody shares a similar mentality, and which is why the conference content is very much in that focus. So I think as we evolve and bring in different types of IP and bring in different styles of people, based on their interest levels of whatever it is, if it's collectibles, if it's business, if it's this, it's that, it's whatever, it's still under that umbrella of VeeFriends. And I still think that regardless of how you came in, when you came in, that underlying notion is always going to be there. And I think that's why VeeCon becomes the success that it has been and will continue to be, so long as they put it on. I really, truly believe that. I think that they have some things that they always have to work on. Like, I do not think that VeeFriends is perfect by any means, but I think that they're doing okay in the world of kind of keeping up with trends, keeping up with trends, but also staying true to what we were doing. And they've also calmed down a lot on the hyperbole and the hyping and shit like that, mostly because it's been a bear market. But yeah, I think that's sort of where it's changed, is just they've evolved because the world evolves and they want different things, and how to fit that all back into this NFT ecosystem has been quite the tapestry.
I think the metaphor, I think that's a perfect metaphor of a school situation, where you have everything under this huge umbrella. So speaking of VeeCon, I'm going to assume both of you were at 1 and 2. Okay. So we didn't really, aside from a few, teaser videos, hype train videos, we didn't really know what to expect from VeeCon 1. Out of curiosity, when you guys are, powering down in your hotel room or wherever you stayed, the end of night 1, night 2, like what were your thoughts? Like, what was that internal conversation of like, what the hell was that? Were you amped up to see everyone? Were you like, this is taking at a new level? Like, what
the
what
first
was the
year,
internal meeting?
The first year was so overwhelming and so exciting that it was like every night we were busy. We were doing dinners with all these people.
It makes me tired to think about it.
Like, we were so pumped. And by the end of it, you're like, I can't wait for year 2. That was really where I was at. I don't know.
Year one, it was just a love fest. It felt like Woodstock. It like that's where what I wasn't at Woodstock. I'm not that old, but like I think that's how what I related to is just like such a beautiful thing to be walking around and like I was walking around with Mel and just having someone yell "Schmooper girl," and I'd be like, yeah, and just have people go, "It's me," and like give a big hug, um, and just be like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I talked to you." So that was what made VeeCon 1 so special. Not to mention, like, I had a really great appreciation for a couple of the speakers from that year too. I really did. Like I I met like it felt like it was so accessible, even though that place was huge. It was great cardio. Um, if you're into
Yep.
that, so good. The stairs were so tall, but other than that, lessons were learned. It was fine. Honestly, VeeCon 2 for me, Ron was there the whole time. I literally listen, like when I tell you like so many of us are busy building, like I last year was so heads down and doing what we were doing for the company, that I literally was in for VeeCon the night before the community stage, and I was there for the community stage. I stayed for about an hour or two after community stage, and I had to go. I had to drive home. Because we co-parent, or we got to be home. Someone's got to be here with the kid, and then whatever, and plus work and all that stuff. So I was only there for that, but I can tell you this, like the vibe at the first day where the community stage was and everything else, it was still so, it was different because there was this familiarity, because at this point we're now running into people for maybe the fourth time, because we've had VeeCon, we've had NFT NYC, we've had Art Basel and Miami NFT Week, and like all these different events where folks are going to, and they're having these community run events and get-togethers and stuff like that. So like now it's, instead of like VeeCon 1, which was like the first opportunity to get everyone together, now it's more of like, like an annual reunion, and
Part of the circuit.
yeah, part of the circuit, and getting to see people and reconnect, and but also because we've already reconnected and connected with our core group so much, it also opened up, I think being there for second year opened up opportunities to make some different connections too. So VeeCon 1, I never met Max the Miata. I never got to hang out, and VeeCon 2 leading up to that, I got to do that. There were just a lot of folks that I hadn't gotten to connect with at, the first one, and developed a somewhat of a relationship with in between. So it was fun to reconnect. So it like shifted from this like, huge party of initial connection, and then more of like a reunion type thing, and ability to kind of laser in and cultivate those connections, I think, even more, and even meet new people.
I have to, and we talked probably more at length about this on the call that never was. But I'd be remiss if we, for history, not for you to just jam for a minute or two on VeeGinaz, aka VeeLeadhers, aka Leaders Unchained. One of the nerdy, I think, VeeCon historical tidbits is that you guys were the first community event at VeeCon 1, which is pretty cool. And I remember, Gary came up. So if you could just jam on the evolution of that group, especially on today, National Women's Day, I think, for history, that would be fun, especially to, educate the newbies out there.
Yeah. So VeeGinaz was the love child of myself, Amanda DeGuardia, and Sarah Jones. During the clubhouse days, we would be in there, and we'd having these education sessions and these opinion sessions all the time about what was going on in the space. And we kept finding ourselves in this position where we'd say something or weigh in on something, and then like it would just be completely disregarded, or a male would say it after us and be like, "Oh, dude, you're right," and we were like, "What the fuck? I just said that. Like, stop." Or like we'd be trying to contribute to something, and then like we'd get talked over. It just got so annoying that we were just like, we're going to make our own thing. We're going to make our own thing just for the ladies in the space. non-binary, who you are, I don't care. But if you feel like you're not being heard, come talk to us, and we're gonna figure it out. And it ended up evolving. Like it was started as this joke of like bringing people into a room, and VeeGinaz was the name of it because my daughter at the time, my bonus daughter, were on vacation, and she's like, "You should call it VeeGinaz," and I was like, "We really should," and we ran with it.
Great name.
We did. We ran with it, and it was so funny. Some of the people that were like, "VeeGinaz, oh, like yeah, it's okay." You came from one at one point. You're fine, but. We kind of ran with it, and it turned into a show, and it evolved, and we ended up interviewing so many incredible women in the space who were building either their art or they were doing stuff that weren't even in Web3, but they were just Web3 enthusiasts, but they had this passion for trying to find the connection and build the bridge between what they were doing and what was happening in Web3. And they were just incredible. Everyone is still like an incredible member of the community. All the folks we got to be when the Fame Ladies Squad, when it was in its, oh my, that's changed a lot too. But the Fame Ladies Squad relaunched with Board Becky and NFT Ignition and all of those. We helped them. They came on our show for a big celebration relaunch. And we had Maha came on. We had her. We had so many incredible guests from all over the world, technology developers, all these folks, these incredible women that didn't feel like the traditional space for Web3 was giving them a platform to speak about what they were doing and elevate what they were doing and giving them a chance to be heard. So we wanted to create that, and that's what we did. So VeeGinaz, we were the first female. I cannot find another fully female-led Web3 show that was out there amplifying women's projects and voices. We were the first. I believe we were the first.
Amazing.
So we did that. We stopped doing the show. God, what was it? So, 2 summers ago. Oh my, it feels like a lifetime ago, but it was like not that long ago. You know, talking about like all these, like it's not been that long,
Absolutely.
but it was like,
Summer of 22.
Yeah, back in the summer of
summer of
22. Yeah, so we finished up in the summer of 22. August of 22 is when we closed that chapter. But from that, you know, I'm not a part of VeeLeadhers, and Leaders on Chain, whatever they're called now. I don't know. I participated in that back when they first had their event at VeeCon. I was there. It was a lot of fun. It was a great connect. But VeeLeadhers really made their own thing after VeeGinaz had been kind of out there. I was a part of that at the beginning. I stepped away from it. Just some things didn't align for me, and I wish them well, and I hope that they're doing great. I don't really follow what they're doing now, but it was. I am always going to be incredibly honored of getting to be the part of being the big mouth in the room that helped facilitate and shape women and non-binary folks in this space. And I can't even take credit for all of that, but being a part of amplifying voices in the space that were being stifled and not being heard. I will always be eternally proud of that, and also grateful to the community for allowing us to do that. We were supported by so many people. We weren't supported by many too. And that's okay, because we ended up creating space for them to still go do what they do. And I think that's really cool. Because the history doesn't lie. So it's just phenomenal to have been a part of that. I still have my VeeGinaz t-shirts. We still have our merch, which we you know, even when we had our shirts made, a female member of our community was the vendor we used to make the shirts, and helped her kickstart her business and what she was doing with screen printing and stuff like that. So it was just so many awesome memories. And Amanda DeGuardia and I we still talk to this day. She's a phenomenal human being, and every single one of the guests we had on the show, I still follow them all to see what they're doing and see how they're doing.
I love that,
because I believe in so much of what they had to say and what they were building.
Amazing.
Dude, hang on, let me interject real quick, because anytime that this woman walks in VLand, wherever at VeeCon, you can't go 10 steps without Spooper, Alissa, ah! Like she's got a mob. I'm telling you, it's hilarious. It's
I believe
hilarious.
it.
And
I believe it.
it's because of what she's done and the standards that she holds and the voice that she delivers. And she's not like whenever she speaks, it is her own voice, but it's a voice for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so impactful. It's incredible. Really is.
You got a good one there.
I know she does.
Sticking with VeeCon, and Ron, I guess I'll pivot to you more to lead this one. They up leveled in a lot of ways. I mean, the through line, one of the through line themes is that they learn and they pivot and they just try to up level wherever they can and whatever they're doing. And one of those is just from VeeCon 2 to VeeCon 1. Up leveled in a lot of ways. They obviously listen to the community, and we'll get into that in a second. But on the collectible front, so I was just on one of my last episodes. I talked about the flea market, the VeeFriends cards at the flea market. It was called VeeCon 1. There was maybe a dozen to 2 dozen V1 cards there. That was it for the whole arena. Fast forward to VeeCon 2, there's an Uno tournament. There's a card night, a dedicated card night. They're selling CNC boxes. There's breaks all over. You are the guy that you have Ron's Round Table podcast. You're into the vending. You're in all of the collectibles. You have at least elbows deep in pretty much every sector, I think, of every vertical that there is a collectibles. Your take on the transition that we saw from 22 to 23, and like what was it that got you really into it? Was it the cards or something else? So that's a loaded question, I know, but take it wherever you want to go.
I really think what got me into it was the game. I really liked the game. I thought that it would be something fun for the family to do. That's why we got Uno cards, to support VeeFriends. But then we always do games. Like we just play games. I was big into Magic. So I still don't. I just traded a Series 1 for a Series 2 rare card because I don't care about them. I really don't care about Series 1 cards. I understand everybody is drooling on themselves to get one. I just don't care. I would rather have the cards that you can play with. So the game got me in. And I thought that it was a really cool way to introduce all the characters in a way that Uno didn't. Uno didn't introduce all the characters. They only introduced a handful of them. And I was like, okay, that's cool. That's the first step. But I really think that introducing all the characters, seeing them all developed on those Series 2 in the real cutesy, cartoony way, it made more sense to me to see how you could build that than Series 1. I didn't understand how we were going to build Series 1. I really didn't. I didn't see the vision the way that they did. Once I saw Series 2 and I saw some of the shorts and the cartoons and what was being built, I was like, got it. I understand it now. And it all clicked, so I doubled down. Anything that has to do with the Series 2 characters, I'm pretty much in.
And that makes a ton of sense because for 95% of people that interact with this brand from this day on, that's going to be the rookie card. That's going to be how they know the character. It's how many people drool over Steamboat Willie? Everyone knows Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, the diehard Mickey Mouse fans want Steamboat Willie. 99% of people want Mickey Mouse.
100%.
Series 2 is Mickey Mouse. Series 1 is Steamboat Willie.
100%. So you were you into CNC right away because there was that slow from a at large community standpoint.
I don't even think that you opened your box. I hadn't even opened my box yet at VeeCon. I didn't go to one of the box breaks. I didn't go to card night. I skipped all you guys. You know what the only thing that I did in the flea market, guess what it was? I ripped $20 in vending machine. That's what I did. I pulled Tomcat. I pulled Courage. I pulled 2 other dudes. I had 2 rolls of quarters, and I said, "Hey boys, you want to get addicted to something else?" And that's exactly what I said to them, and they were like, "Yeah."
Of
So we
course.
went over. We were ripping minis. So I was already into minis at that point too. I am a marketer. I'm a sales guy. I was already snapped in to the vending before VeeCon 2 even went on. I was already dedicated to that. And once I knew that those were there, I knew I had to go check them out. And I like the ability also with the vending machines, because I'm just going to transition over to those. The vending machines give you a really cool opportunity to teach your kids and teach people about business and scaling, in my opinion. Because like you can see what one machine does at this location, another machine will do it here, another machine, and like you can start to teach them at a pretty low entry level about it. And the fun part is you get a toy. You know, you get these little toys.
Or you can have one in the podcast space and crank the machine.
Yeah, I had to get rid of that one. I was selling them on stream until like 1:00 in the morning. She's yelling at me. My daughter's room's next door to the podcast studio. So like they would hear that crank, crank, crank and on the machine, and they were like, "Ron, we gotta. You just can't do this anymore." So I was like,
Amazing.
"All right, I have to go find a home for this thing." So I went out and I put it at our neighbors. Actually, they own a restaurant in town here. So I was like, "Hey, can I put this in your restaurant?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure, go for it." I was like, "Good." She's like,
Hallelujah.
See you later, boys. But yeah,
So
I wasn't directly into anything. I was really in build mode in Web3, more about content about Web3 and building our business in Web3, VeeCon 1 and 2. So I was totally dedicated to that. Instead of going to card night, I went to the Rug Radio party. Like that was more my focus. And here's the other part too. Like I try not to pigeonhole myself into these clicks. Like when everybody's doing this thing, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go do that thing for a little bit. I don't know why I do it. It's just something I've become aware of, that I like things early, and then once it's going, I don't like, I'm not so deep into it anymore. I don't know. It's like a toxic trait that I have, honestly.
Do you think you're just like subconsciously looking for the next thing, like the entrepreneur in you?
Yeah. I'm always looking for something else to do, something else to have fun, something to learn about. And sometimes that leaves some shrapnel along the way. But the things that do stick, I love them. So
it's super interesting that you were into the minis at VeeCon too. I wasn't even into the cards, to be honest. Card night for me was like the light bulb, and minis really wasn't on my radar. But the minis, it's a funny thing because Gary said how the minis are like the Series 2. People are like sleeping on them essentially.
Yeah.
But the more parents I talk to, and the more I've thought about it as a parent, like it just aligns with everything you just said. I think if you see the longer term vision of the stories and the lessons behind the toys and behind it being in the dirt to run that business, that's everything, and that's priceless. So
and
like
I don't know if they did this to everybody, so sorry if I'm like outing myself, but they gave me an Entrepreneur Elf wizard card with it. They like you are, this is your group, like this is who you are. You're a VeeFriends vendor, you're an Entrepreneur Elf. And I think it's really cool. And they open up a little side channel inside the Discord for us, which is cool. And
where's the Entrepreneur Elf's right-hand person character? No, that's what I'm saying. Though we need
hang
who
on.
would be that? That's a great question.
So who is the entrepreneur's best friend?
Resourceful Robin.
Yeah, I guess we could do Resourceful Robin, but that's already Gary's grandma. So like you can't do that one. It's got to be somebody else.
For me, it would be the Organized Ostrich.
Organized Chaos Ostrich. Sorry. Practical. Oh, Practical Peacock.
Okay, that's a good one.
There you go. Practical Peacock.
So how many machines are you up to? Because now, it's like I said, it's March 8th, 2024, and then you were just put on the pedestal of the elites of the VeeFriends vendors. So congratulations for that accolade. Just another feather in your cap.
But hey, check this out. You can identify the vendors inside of Discord now. We have a little vending machine beside our name.
That's cool. I'm like
no, I'm never in Discord.
I'm not a Discord person.
I saw it today. I was like, wait a minute.
That's cool. That's cool. So amazing. Sticking with that, you fell in love with the game. You developed this podcast, which I'm a huge fan of. I've told you that probably numerous times now. I just love. First of all, I think you're just a great podcast host, and you guys have obviously done Spaces and other podcasts, and many things together. You're not a spring chicken with it, but it's such a unique layout for a show, especially when you give the updated. This is what's happening in sales. So like arbitrage, business, flipping value, and then you have the interview, which is cool. Like that's why a lot of people like this show to peek behind the curtain of someone's life and story, and then you jump into the game, which is all strategy, and you see different perspectives on how you see this kind of black and white.
We do it in 45 minutes,
and you crush it. So what was just real quick, what was the origin idea for that show?
Well, I love playing the game and nobody's playing the game. So I'm like, well, I still want to do a podcast. And I was listening.
Taken our break.
We had taken our break from Growth Mindset Moment. So like we were like in like a whatever, we were in the middle. And then I was like, well, there's nobody playing the game. I want to play more of the game. I still want to do a podcast. And I was listening to Card Talk at the time with the guys from 137, Bo Nickel, Schmitty, and those guys. And they do a market report every now and again. So I was like, shit, that's awesome. So I started doing the market report. I added that a couple episodes in. I added that in. And I liked it because it gave me a good snapshot whenever I was just kind of doing my daily anyhow, like looking at the collectibles, scrolling through eBay. I'm like, well, I may as well share this with people. So I started doing that. And then the interviews, like that's my bread and butter. Like that's what I do. And then the game. And I was pumped. People were like, yeah, I'm in. Let's play.
Well, mostly
I was like, holy crap.
I can't believe how many of the people that you're teaching to play the game while you're doing the interview. So it's like a two-for deal. Like there are folks like even Steve Kaczynski, he was like, I haven't even opened my cards yet. By the way, everybody, Everything Token by our friend Steve. Great book. You should check it out. But like there's folks like him. He's like, I have these cards. I haven't even opened them yet. I don't know. I've never even looked at it. So it's like, it's provided not only an opportunity for those in the VeeFriends community that have the cards to like, to have this like learn strategy and stuff, but it's also an opportunity for some folks to even learn how to play and like do it in kind of a fun way while also doing the podcast and doing an interview. And I think that's pretty cool.
Well, and I've actually sent cards to people to be on the podcast to play. I think that's
awesome.
I don't want to toot my own horn, but I will now have pretty much the entire VeeFriends team at Compete and Collect. I've also had pretty much the tippy top. I've had Kranak on the show. Thanks. I mean, the research I did was because of your show. And then I've also had like Steve, who is NFT Bark inside of the Web3 community. He's big in the Web3 community. He's retweeting this stuff. Like you see, and you could see what Gary's doing. He's bringing all these TikTokers and influencers into the office and breaking cards.
Yeah.
Pat
McAfee, there's a card there. Nick Kyrgios, one of the top tennis players in the world right now. He was just had him. He has a VeeFriend card, and you're the guy.
Baby watch, and there was a VeeFriend card on this.
It's on ESPN2.
Pat
McAfee show.
Pat McAfee show. He's got the Eager Eagle on there.
I wish him well. I do not.
Listen, she walks in. I'm watching the McAfee show, and she walks in, and they're talking about the massive bison that they're going to put in front of, or Buffalo that they're going to put in front of the Buffalo Bills stadium, and they're talking about its ball sack hanging too low. And I'm like, yeah, this has been 15 minutes. She's like, oh my God, I'm out of here. I'm like, yeah, this is
they're not for everyone, I suppose.
The VeeFriends card on the desk. I'm like, I am not paying attention this long enough.
And do you want to know how the culture's changed?
Yeah.
It's like, it's a lot more of that and a lot less of the other stuff.
Not everything is for everyone. So I think like many people that choose not to consume Pat McAfee, there's always Ron's Roundtable that they can
yes. I
take
love
their
playing
attention.
the game. I think that I've inspired some people to play the game more. We have with To the Moon, they do tournaments. You have Courage doing tournaments. There's constant gameplay going on now, and I think that because once everybody's done breaking these cards open, what are you going to do? What are you going to do with them? You just going to sit around and talk to each other about what it used to be, or are you going to play the game? Like what's happening here? So that's why I'm hot on gameplay and Series 2, because they mean something long term. I don't think that Series 1 outside of collectible mean too much long term.
I also think that like when we're starting to talk about the evolution of the cards, like there's going to have to be booster packs at some point, right? Well, so like, but I'm saying like as the evolution of that has to happen because the game's being played. Yes. I don't think that there's enough there just in the collectible aspect of the cards to continue to create boosters with different levels and novelties to them without the gameplay. So really like it behooves the entire collectible atmosphere to play the game and to put emphasis on playing the game so that you can further the evolution of additional cards and collectibles in that genre.
Well, to your point, you don't even really know about some of the characters outside of the game. Like in the game, you've never seen let's say like Versatile Viking. What has that been in? What has Versatile Viking been in other than the game?
Not, I mean,
energetic
for the majority, that's them. Yeah,
energetic electric eel. I'm talking about like the top tier decks. You just don't see any of these characters develop, and the game develops the characters without you having to lift a finger as a project. It develops the characters for you.
Exactly. No, Ron, you're on it. I mean, and I'll say this, because a lot of people in the little card community, not a lot of people, but a handful of people picked up that I'm collecting swear word cards now, and I know I'm not the only one, but that didn't even pop into my head till you were like, you think they're gonna keep on making swear word cards, and I'm like, no,
nope, they can't.
So it's like, yeah.
So
it's like, of course I'm going to start collecting them.
Yeah, the swear word cards, you should be getting all of them graded. If you're a big collector, I think that's the thing that's going to go. You already saw it with the stickers. We talked about this. The Bold as F Bat has an asterisk.
Yep.
And that's the first evolution of Rips taking full control over VeeFriends Cards and collecting. I'm telling you, he's what they need. He's what they need on that team. He brings rigidity. He also brings the know of that world and that whole entire vertical, and he's also understanding, and I've seen him work with kids at those shows. He's next level.
I tweeted today because his episode came out today, and I said he's the most underrated character in the VeeFriends ecosystem.
I watched him after all day working a show and going to the tournament at Comic-Con. He's sitting at the tournament, just walked in. Somebody was already asking him to remedy, I think it was like a Halloween box or something like that, because it came smashed, and he's like, yeah, I'll take care of it immediately. Don't worry about it. Just like take a picture, send it to me. And then he goes over, sits down on the floor, doesn't take a chair, sits on the floor beside a kid and is teaching him how to tie his shoes. Like, I'm blown away by this dude, and he's sub 25. Sub 20. He's amazing.
He's the
leader of the collectibles team.
This makes up for the fact that he was the email that sent me my rejection for the Sorcerer Scholars.
Oh well, I got rejected too.
We all did.
Which,
It's okay. It's okay.
Sakari, GMGM. There's a few others, but yeah. But no, I just think that the team that they've assembled, I love Conman and Courtney and that whole entire team over there playing the game and doing the Fanatics Live. And now they brought on Liam too, which is Conman's brother, and those two have a history. I'll release Conman's podcast here soon. They were a dynamic duo in the card world on breaks. So they're assembling a good team. I think the pieces are in place for this thing to really take off. And we're all right here. We're patient pandas.
I love that, and I love that flag you've put. And and this is kind of coming full circle now. Back to your college metaphor. All of the traits and the things that we love about the community at large really get amplified in these small communities, a la the cards or whatever. So it's great to be watching from the front row. I usually ask this to the person directly, but I'm going to give you guys the option. We're having a real moment, and this is going to be great. I'll give you guys the option to answer for the other person or for yourself. And I'm giving you that option just because there's two of you, and I can. What character do you need to spend more time with? Meaning you need more of what you need to embody more of that trait, and by osmosis of being with this character, you're going to have more of it.
I don't think there's a character for mine. It doesn't exist. There's too many words in it. Let me see. I need to be more turned. I'm just kidding.
There you go.
No, that's not true. You're a jerk. You need to be a.
There you go.
Me? What are you talking about? Are you trying to get us a divorce right now?
There. This is a good one.
Yeah, this gives me anxiety. Ron thinks that I need to spend more time with this character.
Spontaneous
seahorse. Okay.
Well, go ahead and explain why, since you decided.
Well, I mean, I think it goes somebody who's very organized and plans everything out and needs to have a process to feel comfortable in the situation. Whimsical Wolf is a good one. Sometimes spontaneity is good, and it pushes you out of your comfort zone and pushes you into new opportunities. And the reason why I said this is she was not going to go to NFT NYC this year, and I said, no, you have to be spontaneous. You have to do this because every time you do this, something good happens. Every time that you get out of your comfort zone and you go, you make shit happen. And I think that every now and again, a little more spontaneity is good.
All right, let's pivot to you.
Now you can give me mine. This one.
Oh,
damn, Practical Peacock. I think it's because she wants to hang.
The second reference of the hour of the Practical Peacock.
So like here's the thing. Like, it's about balance, right? So like I've had a couple conversations with folks in the last, and I've been posting a lot of content about this too. That like a big goal for me in 2024 is about balance. So I think that anytime something's just a little bit off balance, that like your risk for error increases, right? So sorry, I'm such a buzzkill, but I think that anytime, and I don't think like you should stifle entrepreneurship by being practical. I think that you win entrepreneurship by being able to intertwine practicality with it. And so spending more time, it's not to say you're not practical. You're just sporadically practical. So,
practical when it makes me money.
If he's practical also when he's saying no to me about something, like I want a dog. And he's like, no, we don't have time for a new dog. And I'm like, that's rude. So like stuff like that. But
that's rude. You sound like Chels.
So rude. But no, I think that I think that that's anything that we've learned in probably the last 3 years. Being in Web3, being a part of this community and many other NFT communities in our business that we have together and the businesses we work in for our day jobs and how we're changing the world, that it's all about striking that balance. And I think that that's why I'm all about practicality, is something that I think we all could spend more time with, not just Ron, but we can all spend more time with to get back to that balance. Because it's great to be whimsical. It's great to be taking risks and arbitraging and out there like making shit happen and being bold and doing all this crazy shit. But like sometimes when you really want to change the world, practicality is the way that you make the rubber meet the road, so you can actually have a path forward to do that. So
yeah, I think that, I mean, you bring home 1,000 good points, of course, obviously. But I think that it's also like, as you said, the practical piece of changing the world is actually just doing the normal thing the right way daily, consistently, over and over and over again. That's like changing the world. It's not like these big things. And I think through experience, we gain more practicality. Like through more experience inside of this market and NFT land and all of this, like I'm not thinking about selling a car to buy crypto to buy a VeeFriend. You know, like I know everything is more cyclical now. So through that experience, I become more practical in my approach to things. And I think that you have to be more spontaneous to gain experiences to become more practical. See, I wove that in. Yes.
What a team. What a team. I love the way that just unfolded. Sound bites galore there.
I just randomly picked these cards up.
I know. You just grab a pile.
Amazing.
Universe.
I love the yin and yang you guys have going. It really is inspirational and amazing. So real quick before we get into our last segment here, so many people, you know, we could talk ad nauseum of the kindness and the giving here, and the people that usually deserve it the most are the quietest. Quickly, if you want to blow the whistle or blow up anyone's spot in a good way and give roses to anyone that you've crossed recently or back in the day or wherever, if you want to sound the horn on anyone you want to give roses to.
The list is like, so okay, so I'll start with Julie Lamb. Julie Lamb is someone I met in the space, How to Julie Sue on socials. She empowered me and handed me a microphone. And without that, I would not have comfort speaking on stages. I don't know. I can't thank her enough for that. And like as far as VeeFriends goes, no one talks about Julie anymore. Everybody knows who Julie is. But I have been so fortunate to be surrounded by some of the most incredible people in VeeFriends that don't get a lot of attention publicly all the time. But like always, E22 will always like get a shout out for me. I adore how he's also vocal, but also very pragmatic and good to people. Like people think that like they read some of the stuff he writes, it's like, wow, like he's so much, but he's like one of the kindest people. This is my crypto name. Nick is also a quiet person that's always advocating for the community all the time, whether you know it or not. Gosh, like I'm like my brain is being flooded. Yeah, do one.
Crystal Groves. Can we bow to Crystal Groves? We wouldn't even be VeeFriends if it weren't for Crystal Groves. I mean, at least whenever we became VeeFriends, and she's the reason why I was able to save my ETH during that failed transaction on a carrying camel, because I just kept clicking the button. Why won't this go through? Why won't this go through? I had 50 transactions, and thank God gas was outrageous because none of my transactions got picked up by the blockchain. So we were able to go through and cancel those. I had no idea how to do that inside of MetaMask at that time. Dropped into the chat with Crystal Groves. She hooked it up, got me into a private chat, and saved all of my Ethereum. So all I had to do was put in some gas money, and I was able to mint the next day. So shout out to Crystal Groves for sure. and all those freaking mods inside of there. NFT Katie, all the mods, for real.
Yeah, it is a thankless job at times. They do a great job. As I said, I'm not huge into Discord, but I know we've had enough moderators in this house to know that the taxing work that it is, never ending, around the clock, helping people, customer service, all the things nobody wants to do. So shout out to the mods.
Yeah, I think
Um,
it's a testament to the community in general that like I'm overwhelmed with that type of question to even think. I'm surrounded and so blessed to be having encountered so many phenomenal people, from the guys that gave me my mammoth to folks that just gave a kind word or a DM on a bad day, or like it's
every day.
It's every day. It's like to be so overwhelmed with the amount of people I could like rattle off is what a position to be in.
yeah, that's all you need to know. Amazing. So before we get into our last segment, I just again want to thank both of you, Alissa, for coming back, both of you for coming on together. You know, it's such a cool privilege to have be able to talk to two superstars in one session. And you know, people throw around the word OG, and you know, you guys are true OGs. So I want to make sure that's documented and that your story is shared, because you're a true important piece to many niche communities within this larger one. So thank you for being here.
And there's no other way we would want it to be than with the historian himself. Telling you.
Please, I'm just documenting.
A fine job,
I appreciate that coming from you. I really do. It means a lot. So macro, micro, Spitfire, you may be familiar with it. I'm gonna direct a quick question at one of you. You can be as general and macro as you want, or you can get your microscope out and explain and elaborate why. So, Alissa, favorite teacher you had growing up and one reason why?
Mr. Lecter's 6th grade. He was the first teacher that had patience with me and didn't make me feel like I was an idiot because I had ADHD.
Ron, what was your favorite IP as a kid?
Ren and Stimpy.
Alissa, a secret talent that you have that most people don't know.
I can read music.
Ron, favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Oh man, I suck at movies. I am so bad. I don't even like have a favorite movie. I really don't.
Oh, that's disappointing. Nothing?
Like nothing.
Harry Potter and Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yes. All right. I'm instituting a veto rule. You can steal from your spouse.
Cool.
I want both of you to do this. Favorite piece of VeeFriends, VeeCon, Gary V, anything you want, physical memorabilia.
VeeGinaz stickers.
What?
Listen, technically, a VeeGinaz sticker is supposed to be on Gary's laptop, which I don't believe he ever actually put on the laptop, despite having been given stickers on at least 2 to 3 occasions and saying that he was going to put it on his laptop. So,
Gary,
you got to do that. Find him.
My absolute favorite is it's got to be the minis. I think it's
love the minis.
I love them. I don't know why. I really like them.
Do you know what?
They're so accessible.
And for me, and if I'm being honest, I have 2 things. I have a black cat sticker that I got sent to me because I asked Gary for one on Twitter, and it was sent to me. So I have a black cat sticker, and also I love the Accountable Ant black shoes. I'm not afraid to say it. I like the black shoes.
I can't even bring myself to putting mine on.
Oh, I wear them
that's
all
how
the
much I
time.
like them. Because I know what I do with shoes.
Yeah, mine are absolutely trashed, but I love them.
Alissa, what VeeFriend needs to be voted into the White House in 2020? Maybe we keep this one macro.
Oh, Accountable Ant.
Right?
Absolutely. Accountable Ant.
Ron, 2025 VeeCon, is it happening, and where will it be if it is?
Yes, it's happening. And I would say Austin, Texas.
Alissa, favorite concert you've ever been to?
I have been to a lot of concerts. Weezer in '98 at the Odeon in Cleveland.
Let's go. Ron, wine, beer, or coffee?
Coffee.
We'll do this for both of you. Would you rather have a 2-hour group dinner experience with Gary, so let's say you two and 8 other people, or a 15-minute one-on-one with him?
I'm going with the group dinner.
Whatever. It's fine.
Give me the steak.
Yeah, I like food and he likes good food, so probably dinner.
All right, so we'll go with a group.
Okay.
Group it is.
Group it is.
And if you could ask Gary, either of you could answer this or both. If Gary if he was here and he had to answer one question truthfully right now, what's the one question you would ask him?
How many times did you have to talk yourself into actually smelling those socks and tasting them whenever you were preparing for taste testing wine? Like, what did your process look like for vetting out pieces of whatever to taste? Like, did you put everything in your mouth? Like, what was that about? That's what I would like that answer today.
That's far more whimsical than my question. So if it's just like him and I get to ask him a question that I want him to answer honestly, it would be about a subject matter he doesn't talk a lot about, which is like parenting and reconciling and having a frank discussion about practical approaches to parenting and his success with that, because he doesn't talk about parenting his own kids. And I understand why that's a boundary for him. But as a parent and as a business person, as someone that, like, if I got to ask him, talk to him about that, that's a curiosity I would have. And like, I would keep it confidential. It's just between me. But like, out of respect, because I respect the boundary, but like, that's a question that I would talk to him about, because I've heard him share a lot of content about like, sometimes you got to miss baseball games, like stuff like that. I'm going to tell you something. I don't miss games. That's so I would like to have like talk to him just a little bit about what parenting really looks like for him. Especially since, he's co-parenting, and, that's a development in the last few years. He's co-parenting and he has like some really strong beliefs about how parenting should be. And I'd just love to have a really cool conversation about that, because I have some thoughts too.
Great answer.
Shout out to VDad show. Get out on the VDads.
VDads, that's right. Shout out to all of the parents that are doing the best that they can.
Yeah.
That period. It is a tough job that no one prepares you for. You guys are the absolute best. This was so fun for me. I think I'm gonna delay the episode a few more weeks to get some more of those swear word cards. Before everyone subscribes to the prescription. But no, you guys are the best. Ron's Roundtable. Hopefully you guys get back on the Spaces track. That would be fun. Little reunion tour. You never know. But you guys are the best. Thank you so much. And we will talk to you soon. See you at VeeCon.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Rob. Later.